Mark Prensky, a noted American writer and speaker on modern youth, identifies them as digital natives. Born into the age of the internet, for many of these young people, the online environment offers a window to a world of shared ideas and inspiration. For others, the internet is a diversion, an escape from a world of conformity and restriction. This film is the result of a study involving high school students from 2 Queensland state schools. It sets out to examine how the online environment, and particularly digital domains such as YouTube and Facebook, influence young people's creativity.
Oh, that's really difficult. I don't know. Probably finding something where there's nothing. Like I was explaining before, like using your imagination for ideas that other people probably wouldn't have thought of, like different. It's what makes people unique.
Make something new.
Doing something unique. That would be it.
Well, creativity, it's just such a broad thing. I think creativity can come from like things like poetry to things like actual fine art to music to writing. Creativity, I think, is everywhere. It's within the society, and whether it is something that we can see or something that we can't, it's still there.
Creativity is about sharing an idea with the world and having something to say.
One school is in regional Queensland, in a small city on the coast. The students are a mix of rural and regional Aussie kids. The other is a school in metropolitan Brisbane, where 3/4 of the students are from the Middle East, Asia and Africa.
Because like our school, so many different people with different culture, different skin color, different everything, and most of the school, like they only have 5 different culture, but ours is so actually
A lot of different people, yeah.
My initial thought, like knowing a bit about Yeronga already, but like knowing that there's such a large population in that school that aren't from mainland Australia, like they're from other countries and they speak all other languages, I think they'd have their own stories, like being refugees, that have their own kind of creativity and ways that they kept themselves thinking all the time, or the stories they just have, like from their making their way from their country to here and their journey and stuff. They don't need the level of imagination prompting that we do.
Can they, so like they could like get inspiration from like past experiences and stuff and turn them into something that is creative.
And they're in a school with like a bunch of other kids their age who are from all these other different countries who have their own stories, and rather than most of us are from like one area and then we talk and we already know everything
about other people, but like you're always constantly learning with other like different people.
Like they would probably have a lot more outlets than we do.
A lot more physical outlets.
So they probably wouldn't be as influenced to go on technology because they've got other resources to keep them, example, outside and doing sport instead of technology.
So when we have technology, sometimes a lot of people spend hours on technology and slowly they become bored with it. So since we've got a lot of technology, the simple thing becomes boring to us, whereas they might find things that we find boring fun because they do a lot more of it than we do.
Yeah, but it would also get boring if you did the same thing over and over and over again, regardless of where you live.
Which is
like,
what we do with technology,
Exactly.
since we have a lot of it here.
Like it's probably, like there probably isn't much difference from there and here. Like clearly there would be some, but I don't think that would be much difference from here to there.
Students at each school involved in this study all come from very different backgrounds, circumstances and environments, and certainly have very interesting perceptions about each other's lives. To learn more about this rich diversity, an initial survey was done across the two schools by way of an anonymous online questionnaire. The results gave some enlightening insights into the students' thoughts and ideas, what they had in common, what were their views on creativity, and how important was the internet to their lives.
When I get home from school every day, I normally jump straight onto the internet and I play a lot of games with my friends. And I think a lot of my creativity comes from the things I see in my games as well.
Social media is a waste of time to a big. It does waste your time.
I think as some people progress through school, they kind of lose that creativity and imagination they had in primary school, where you could pretty much do whatever you wanted with assignments. In high school, you're really nudged in a certain direction. Like there's a certain criteria you have to follow, certain arguments you have to make. I take a lot of art subjects, and thankfully those haven't been too narrow in the path and creativity you can take. And I think myself personally, coming through year 9 and upwards and that, my creativity hasn't really dropped at all. If anything, I'm thinking more about the future and university, what I could do and the things I could create, that kind of thing. So I actually think it's gotten better in a way.
But then you get to high school, it's a lot more just writing, copying down everything from the board, and it's a lot less creative in that field.
Well, I definitely agree that people's inspiration and creativity has dropped. I think definitely in high school, because in high school you're mainly you're focusing on the rest of your life, and for some people creativity is just a pastime and whatnot, and they're not going to pursue that as a career or anything. But yeah, and it drops in high school because you're mainly focused on real world things which aren't that great. But yeah, and just focusing on exams and things that get your mark up, so then you can get a better OP, go into a good university, and then get a good career and make money. And then, yeah, just work until you die, basically.
From the results of that survey, 3 main questions emerged that reflected the main aim of the overall research question: to determine the influence of the internet on their creativity.
Our last assignment, we had to make a game. So my group decided to make a Pokemon themed game, seeing how we all like Pokemon.
It was during a class called Design Technology. I called mine the Machino project. It's where you design a blank canvas toy and create a packaging system, and just to sort of fit the toy inside the package. I really do enjoy that sort of work that I did. It is sort of my masterpiece.
I shot a Western film about 6 months ago. I was pretty proud how I kind of got the music to sync a lot with it. I'm really happy how the soundtrack complements the visual.
In filmed interviews conducted at the 2 schools, the kids were asked to talk about the role that the internet played in their lives, their attitude to education, and how both of these things affected their creativity. Imagine that you are suddenly thrust into a parallel world where the internet does not exist. How would you survive, and how would you stay creative?
Difficult question.
I can manage with no internet because I stayed without internet for 3 months. I could cope with it. Maybe read books.
If it wasn't for the internet, we'd still be using books and stuff, which I honestly can't do because I've never had that. I never had to, look things up in books. I always had the internet. When I got to the ages where I actually had to start doing assignments, it involved research. So anytime I'm actually given a book and told to look for information, it's what?
Well, instead of searching on Google this sort of things, I read book.
Like you'd have to actually resort to going back and reading books and stuff like that, which people don't really do much of these days.
Well, I love gardening. I have my own worm farm at home, and I like reading books. And I prefer paperback, but it's very portable on your phone, so that would probably be one of the downsides, but I do like paperback books, so I reckon I adjust very well in a parallel world.
I'd have to change, as in just getting used to not having it around me. I'd have to find other ways to draw creativity, because a lot of my creativity draws from the internet. So I would have to find alternate ways to stay creative and draw creativity from, like read more books than I usually do.
For example, if I want to do research, I'll probably use my book or library, newspaper and stuff, instead of using internet. Yeah, that's how my parents lived and that's how they studied.
I'll read in my free time and spend time with my family.
To still be able to connect with people. That'd be like letters, like we did before, and just going outside a lot more. And I guess exercising and stuff, I don't know.
I'd probably, like go outside a lot more. I do like a lot more stuff outside, like more drawing.
I probably play a bit more sports as well. That doesn't have anything to do with my creativity, but I probably would just get outdoors a bit more because there'd be nothing else to do.
I'd probably go outside more because, there's no internet, and if I'd have to look something up, I'd probably have to go to the library or something, or maybe buy a newspaper, see what's going on.
I guess I'll just change from being someone who goes in the room to an athlete or something.
Adjustments that I'd have to make. Well, for one, I'd be a lot more fit and active.
No, I'd go outside more because there's more inspiration out there for like creativity and stuff. And I guess I would read I would talk to people more often and see what they have to say and stuff.
I think because the internet brings such unity, because it's worldwide and everyone has information, I think if you were to live in the parallel world where there's no internet, an important factor would be to communicate with your community.
I'd go out a lot and because I couldn't communicate, so I'd be out with friends heaps more. And
it'd just be a bit more difficult, having no social media, because that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. And but it'd be fun, I guess, because I'd be spending more time with my friends, and yeah, I guess that's it.
You'd have to learn how to actually make friends instead of just messaging someone new. Yeah, people would be a lot more social.
Playing with our friends, my friends, going out and playing with them.
You'd have to go talk to your friends, and yeah, you have to actually go see them. It'd make you more social.
If there is no internet, I would go out with my friends, chat with them, what they doing, the experience they got.
It would definitely cause there to be a lot more social interactions, since there wouldn't be any Facebook. Everyone would have a lot more face-to-face communication.
And I'll ask people, I meet more people face to face.
I think in terms of communication, it would be more things like talking to people face to face, or organising to talk or meet up with each other in advance.
Would the internet ever come? Maybe in the future or something, or would internet cease to exist? Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. I think you just really would try to keep all these folklores and stories around, so for generations they couldn't be remembered. I mean, look at Snow White and all these fairy tales. They are so old, but we all remember them because they've been passed down and passed down.
To be honest, I don't think it'd affect people's creativity that much. Because if you're an artist, you don't need the internet unless you want everyone to see it. You can still show people at school and be really proud of it. And writing stories as well. But when it comes to stuff making videos and stuff and you want the world to see it, it'd be much more difficult without the internet.
Will we have cameras and that stuff as well? Okay. So you could go into film, and then that could, Like that could inspire a generation to do their own thing.
But I think it would be harder to get ideas as well, because sometimes if you're like, oh, I want to do something, okay, I'll look it up on Google and it'll give you suggestions of things you can go along that lines. So I think it actually probably would like deteriorate how creative my generation especially is, because we're so used to the internet being there.
I think if I had to stay creative in that world, it would be a lot more difficult and have to take more notice of what's around me as to what is out there in general, if that makes sense.
You'd still be able to find creativity in the world around you, and I think that nature and stuff has always inspired people, and I think it would just, creativity would more turn towards what's natural than what we usually find in social media.
I'd probably make myself more like nature orientated, and I think that I gain more inspiration from like nature than from other people's works and whatnot, which is on the internet.
It'd be a lot more finding inspiration in nature rather than like pictures you see on the internet, like just Googling nature. You'd probably go on like a lot more adventures and try and find new things, like whether it's photography or things you'd like to film, and you'd get out and see more people. You'd spend a lot less time thinking about something with a computer screen in front of your face, that kind of thing.
I think I would actually be more creative in this new world without internet, because I would have to think up new things to do, because internet is what I do most of the time. I'm always on it. So without that, I would have to change the way I live and do different things every day.
I think it would be better that without the internet, because like you wouldn't procrastinate as much and like you'd get your work done and whatnot, but also I think there'd be more like original ideas and whatnot, and you're not just copying off someone else. So yeah, I think that would be better.
It seems there would be some benefits to living in a world where there is no internet. Young people may get out more, lead healthier lives, read more, and possibly develop better social skills through face-to-face interactions. They can always draw inspiration from the world around them in order to stay creative. But for most young people, the world of the internet remains a valuable resource. For some, it is just a diversion and a place to get lost in. For others, it is a powerful tool for self-expression. The internet can empower young people, exposing them to new and exciting ideas, giving them the opportunity to develop their own creativity.
But at home I did draw something and I had no idea what it was. It was like a whole bunch of animals just mixed together, like zebra, giraffe. It was really weird.
Well, I guess it was distraction. It was just kind of drawing tiny little patterns and pictures, and then they usually just turn into, I start in the corner of a page and it just turns into like a big page full of it. And I have seen other people do that kind of thing, working with fine liner, from what we see in art, and from what I think I saw a couple of them on Tumblr, but mine kind of work around some images. And then the ones that I just do of a page, they're usually just when I'm bored in class or need a distraction or something.
I've been doing these drawings in a book of mine about some characters and their backstories. I was inspired to do that actually because of what's happened in a game that I'm playing at the moment. His base was attacked and his family got killed right in front of his eyes. And so now he's trying to get revenge on the people who did it.
But I saw a collection of drawings on Tumblr that really inspired me. They were very realistic and they were only pencil drawings, so I thought they were just beautiful, and I got the idea to draw a face of just a random face. And it's a little off center and it's just the shoulders and face, and the hair's a bit curly and she has freckles. And yeah, it took me about 2-3 weeks maybe to draw it. And in the end, I was really proud of it, so yeah.
I played this game called Skyrim, which is a pretty big RPG game about dragons and that. And your character in it is the Dragonborn, which has the ability to absorb souls from dragons. So I made a picture. It was a digital photo manipulated image. It was just an eye I found online, and I photoshopped in a fire effect and a dragon in the eye, and as well as a sort of coloured effect to emulate the soul of the dragon that looks like in the game.
I guess making an action film in this class probably would have got a lot of ideas from other movies.
Somebody stop that man!
Challenge accepted.
Like if I hadn't have seen a lot of movies, I wouldn't have had a lot of ideas and it would have been a bit dull.
Hasta la vista, asshole.
Imagine that Education Queensland will allow, for 1 month only, high school students to choose what and how they are taught. What suggestions would you make and why?
That's more like it. I don't know. I really have no idea.
I don't know.
I think for the most part it would be chaos.
To be honest, I'd probably cut science and I'd limit like the English and math time down.
Not everybody loves math, and when you don't like math, I mean, you don't have like the motivation to do it.
I don't know, I think for most people being stuck in maths, it's boring and you might doodle, but...
Of course you need math and English. Science would be, of course, elective as it is.
I'm gonna go to science, and I had science because, you know, like I had blood and meat and stuff. So like, you know, for the science we have to go for animal, like, you know, we have to like open the heart and that sort of stuff. And I don't like that sort of thing.
Well, I'd recommend that the teacher try to get get to know their students a little bit better and like try to make class a bit more fun, because teachers don't really get to know their students on that much of a personal level. They just sort of blab on about whatever they're teaching.
You try get them in, because sometimes you may be stuck in a class and you're just bored, and then there are always the one teachers who are so fun and they get you in, and I think you'd have to teach it into a way that everyone can understand it.
More interaction, probably. Interact with more of the students. So like math, for example, I've finally gotten out of the math class I was in, which was fine, but the math class I'm in now, there is little to no interaction between the teacher and the student.
There would probably be a lot less kids who are interested in taking maths, because a lot of people are more into like practical subjects.
Make English and math like more hands-on. Like I know I learn better like doing stuff instead of just sitting in a classroom and listening.
Instead of just writing down notes and more notes and more notes, it'd be like, say, because I do legal studies, in that class, instead of writing down what it'd be like in court, you get like a script and have to like dramatize it and make it all really dramatic.
When teachers talk, like mostly they read out of textbooks and they explain things, students don't get it. But when they say stories about like, you know, what happened in their life that involves the subject, then students remember it and they go and tell others about it.
I think it would just be like the way that they actually learn it would be more practical, and they get outside opinions and whatnot, like from people in the real world, and not just like running from a curriculum or whatnot. So yeah, I'd just say that'd be like fun stuff and things that the students are actually like that they enjoyed and whatnot, and yeah.
Kids would be more creative with what they can do when they work on things with their hands, and they can produce different things instead of just writing out their ideas on a piece of paper and it never coming to life.
I'd be focusing more on like art, dance, drama, home economics, you know, getting kids to do that sort of stuff because it's fun and they enjoy it.
So yeah, I think it's just mainly the arts subjects that I feel are the most creative.
and I think that we should be learning a lot more.
I would suggest a wider creative range of subjects, like in the arts and art subjects, I guess.
But I think it would be cool if they had a wider variety of art subjects like photography, creative writing, things like that we don't really offer specifically in schools. I think a lot of kids would really like that, and more visual learning.
A little bit more artistic classes maybe, like more computer-based classes, more classes where you use your actual hands instead of books and writing.
I would use modern technology to teach how to learn stuff. Yeah, like a lot of teachers, they're using old technologies, like old ideas, concepts, just books and papers, not computers and tablets. Because people nowadays, they are addicted in modern technology.
Has set days for certain subjects. So like if you did like art and film, let's say Monday could be film, Tuesday could be art, you'd have the whole day to like work on your work.
I would suggest having like at school when you have different areas of the school, and one can be practical and one can be like theoretical. So kids who choose to learn like the theory side of things, so maths, physics, like sciences and maths, they can like work in that side of the school. And then another side of the school, those who are into the arts and sports can learn with people who like think like them. And so like you can have teachers who specialise in either area teaching on either side. And for kids who want to do both, they can have like transition classes and periods where they can go from one side of the school to the other.
Probably no standardised testing. I'd honestly take that out because you'd be more focused on actually learning than getting the best marks. And I'd be more interested in actual what they're teaching me.
When we move into schools, we start getting task sheets and guidelines that we have to stay within, and it lessens our ability to be more creative because we're stuck to fitting the guidelines of what the school has put in place, and we can't go outside those guidelines or else they say that we aren't smart or we've failed. So we really get put down if we can't go outside the box when we want to create. I think if the school did want to help people be more creative, they should either expand the guidelines or get rid of them altogether, and that way people could be as creative as they like.
Because people in general are very creative, like human beings are always creating things, like no matter how little. So to increase the creativity with kids, I think it would be as simple as just being like, oh, talk about it. Just talk about creativity, because I mean, until this unit, I've never really been asked like, oh, are you a creative person? In school, like with my friends, yeah, but not in class. And I mean, we are made to be creative in English and stuff like that when we do short stories and things like that. But just, I think, talking about creativity in general, just in the classroom, would probably increase creativity, if that makes sense.
Across both schools, it seems, kids generally don't like subjects like maths, science and English. Perhaps it is the way these subjects are being taught. Certainly most kids want to be able to do more creative subjects to maintain or boost their creativity and stay innovative and imaginative. They understand that these things are important. This suggests that perhaps educators are letting these kids down. Perhaps by increased access to the online digital world by way of modern technology in the classroom, a new, more constructive, engaging and creative curriculum may emerge.
I've been working on a short story recently and I've been using a bunch of different wordplay using water, like a dripping tap, having the hearing distorted like you're underwater, the sound of an aerator in the background. Yeah, just using a bunch of stuff like that.
I tend to upload what I do that is generally alright online. I was just messing around with different artistic tools on one of my favourite art programs, and things just came together, and it was this anthropomorphic wolf coming out of clouds, and it had a kind of surrealist thing as if like emerging from dreams. I look back on that and I'm actually quite proud of how it turned out.
I did a series of paintings, and they're one piece of work, and they're called Metamorphosis, and basically they focus on the media's I guess brainwashing of the media, and the first painting is a small painting. It gives the first stage of a human being where you don't have anything to brainwash you. You're in that stage, you're fine. And the second painting is of another human being. In that picture, there's a change. It is a black and white painting, and basically it suggests that there's sort of like a black and white sort of thing happening when you're getting brainwashed. You're either one side or the other. And the third painting, which is the largest painting, is a human being as well, a painting of a human being, but it's sort of grotesque in a way that it has lots of toxic colors and vibrant colors, and all the organs are all over the place, and you can see that it's not natural. Whereas the first, if you compare it to the first painting, you would see that there's a distinct difference. So I guess what I was trying to say was that we need to question what we see, that there's always two sides to the story, and that we don't need to give in to the fear the media is trying to give us.
The piece that I'm probably the most proud of is, it's gonna sound weird, but like my Instagram, like, because it's all photos that I've taken and it's my life, but like in the way that I've arranged it so it looks like aesthetically pleasing and whatnot. The main inspiration for doing that was other people, like so other people could see not exactly my life, but as in like, I don't know, like my photography skills, I suppose, even though I'm using a phone, but still. And just using like effects and whatnot, and just making something that's maybe like mundane or something like maybe a cup of coffee or whatever, and making it look really nice and like,
What do you see online, and how does it affect your creativity?
What I see online, well, I generally reside within like a creative sphere online. Like I generally frequent like things like DeviantArt and Facebook and YouTube and etc.
I have an iPod and I go on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think for pretty much about 90% it's like videos and all that, and then an extra 5% I might have like Facebook on, and and the other 5% it's schoolwork, because I mostly do use videos now because it's just good, you know.
Social media and games, I guess, and sometimes just looking up stuff that I want to use.
I mostly use only Google because I need to get information for my assignments. It's just because I need to know a clear understanding of the topic. So I just look at Google, and mostly I look at YouTube too. It's because when I get for the English and when I get my storybook, I don't understand anything. So basically I can just watch a movie and that's it, I'll get everything, understand. So
I just like one night I just like hopped on YouTube for like a bit, and then just like, I don't know, I just like was looking for things. Like I started off with just like watching skate videos, and then I started watching like top 10 like biggest prisons and stuff. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, it was just weird, just jump from,
I am actually addicted into internet.
You're
addicted, absolutely, yeah.
I go on a lot of social networking sites, but that's only to talk to friends and whatnot. Usually what I do is I watch a lot of live concerts, I guess, because as a musician it's always good to find ideas of how performers perform.
Find a way to go somewhere, like everything. You can find it easy, like in 1 second.
While you say you're watching a YouTube video and something in it gives you like something clicks in your brain and you've got an idea, and then you pause it and you go and do that idea. When you come back, it's like, well, it's inspiring. And when you're scrolling down your newsfeed on Facebook and stuff, and you see other people's art, and you're like, whoa, that's so amazing. And then you start having that more appreciation to that person because you know what they're capable of with that creativity.
I only go for my schoolwork on internet, and some YouTube as well.
then yeah, so like, to watch a video or to watch something that I get idea for my assignment.
I do use like internet at home, because there is nothing to do like besides study, like mucking around in the internet and yeah.
Because I'm just like watching heaps of different videos like about different things, and that would definitely increase like my creativity and bit like how I think and stuff, because it's just like different things coming at me. And yeah,
I watch a lot of videos, and I do want to start up like a YouTube account, like a channel to make money, of course, but I think just because I want people to have fun while they're watching their videos.
I probably mostly watch shows and look at my social media. So on Twitter and Tumblr mainly, I get a lot of inspiration from what other people are doing, and just pictures that I see and TV shows that have had interesting ideas. So.
I guess like when I see something, it's like, oh, that's cool. I guess I want to have a go and try it out and see what happens with it. Like experiment with it. Like I guess I experiment with pictures I see online. Like I have a go at drawing it, and then I add my own side to it. So.
And like I think it's just easier that if like someone else has already done and they've done trial and error and seen what works and what doesn't, so then you can use like their previous experience to create something that you know is going to work, and it's going to be like how you want it to be and whatnot.
Well, when I see something nice on the internet, some photos or I don't know, some drawing, obviously it changed my mind about everything. Like it can make you want to do something like that.
And by exploring what other people put up in an art sense, I can select parts of that and try it out for myself and create my own style by investigating what other artists do online.
In example, when I did art before, and when we had to come up with ideas, I go online and research stuff. So because I'm not really good at drawing, I just get the information, copy, paste, and then try to sketch it out. So my creativity is being affected because the internet, it just technology allows you to copy and paste now.
If you scroll through something like Tumblr and you see these you always see pictures of mountains and trees, and they have like misty backgrounds or like nice beaches with good editing. It really makes you think about traveling, and traveling doesn't seem so creative, but like creating your trip in your mind and visualizing where you'd go or what you'd do with that experience, you get a lot of inspiration from being different places than what you're used to.
Well, there's a lot of negative on the internet as well as the positive, and there's always people sharing their creativity through social media sites and just the internet in general. So I think that really helps, I guess, because you see other people's creativity and compare it to your own.
Might lessen my creativity in a way if I want to put something that I've created on the internet. I feel like I have a type of box that I have to fit into that people will like. I start thinking, what will these people like, instead of what would I like to create, and I want to create something that impresses them and not something that really I want to create myself.
It reduces my creativity because I don't really think for myself while I'm online. I just let things happen. I don't know.
It can be utilised, it can be made as a tool, it can help you, but then other times it just dulls your idea of creativity.
You limit your creativity because you're not exposing yourself to a lot of other things because you can limit what you see on the internet. You can choose what you want to see.
I think that the internet is very, it's for people that procrastinate and whatnot, but this is gonna sound weird, but sometimes when I do procrastinate, I find something that does inspire me, and then I can use that for example, for an art or a media assignment, and then I will find inspiration while I'm procrastinating. So, but yeah, it can be very time wasting and whatnot. Say if you're doing other assignments and then you just choose hey, I'm just gonna go on the internet for a bit, and that bit turns out to be hours, and then they're just gone. But yeah, I think that there's good and bad from procrastinating on the internet, if that makes sense.
Well, I think I use the internet for inspiration, mostly because it gives a lot of background, and it gives reference images, and it gives information, sometimes the information could be misleading or it could be untruth, and there's like particular bias in different sources, but I guess I use the internet for inspiration, yeah.
And especially since, as I said before, there's so much that we don't see in everyday life that people put online. It's amazing. It's whole different worlds that you wouldn't see if you didn't go online.
There is no doubting the importance of creativity, innovation and imagination in a modern digital world that is constantly evolving. We already recognise that young people generally have embraced the internet, its diversity and its rich resources, and that it can, and largely does, influence their own creativity.
Things like Tumblr and stuff are very influential for me in particular, because I get a lot of inspiration and ideas and such from Tumblr. And like even Instagram and stuff sometimes.
Instagram's a big one.
Yeah.
I follow one that's like hashtag travel bug.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so it like
yeah,
shows me
same.
all these like different places,
Yeah.
like
And
and
it
things
ma-
you can write songs about, like where you want to go
Yeah.
or what you see.
Because if you see something, you won't.
It just affects your mind. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
affect your mind. You're just thinking about it. I want to be good like them.
But you don't have your own creativity.
Yeah, you
Well,
can change it. But you can change it, yeah.
There's also like, I think that we are all shaped by the internet in some way,
Yeah,
because of the
definitely.
music that we discover and the books that we like
And like
discover on the internet.
even TV shows and movies and stuff.
Yeah,
Like without like cinemas, we wouldn't see half the films and TV shows that
No
we've
way.
seen, like because they're not on normal TV and they're not at the cinemas.
And on YouTube you get like short films and indie
Yeah.
films and like the free music on Google Play or iTunes, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is cool. And like that's someone else's creativity. You're like, hey, I could do that.
And on Instagram you can like stumble upon things as well. So
Yeah.
Guys, how many of you have spent hours on YouTube, Michelle? Deanna? This one?
Do you reckon it would have like a negative impact in any way?
Yeah.
Because I think that if, say, someone would try and make something just so it fits the mold so they can get likes and stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
that would like limit their creativity.
But eventually, I think once you get to a stage where you had like a certain amount of likes, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, fit the mold. Like eventually, they break out of it.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's like creative enough to like keep that kind of thing up, they eventually like find out new ways to branch out and.
Well, there's like peer pressure to fit the mold in normal life as well, and I
Yeah,
suppose
true.
with the internet it kind of opens up new pathways
like
and like new
free.
ways of thinking. So,
Like
I
when-
guess it can inspire you as well.
When you hear about like the dark corners of YouTube or the hipster corner of
Yeah.
YouTube, and they're like, there's people who like think the same thing as you, and while you might fit that mold for a bit, like when you change as a person and you find more creative things that you like, then I guess you change.
I've looked at the majority of the YouTube videos
They're
in
stupid.
that particular media platform. You'll have one original video, and then you'll have at least 100 to 1,000 videos imitating that original video.
That's
People
to
like
start off
making videos better than the other person who did the exact same thing, that they might get more views than the other person.
Example parodies of music videos and
I hope there wouldn't be like a huge negative effect, because just by like being bombarded with all these different things and you don't know where to go. But I don't know, eventually if you're creative you find your own way.
I think the positive weighs
Out
more
the
than the negative. Yeah.
We know kids use the internet to learn, to interact, to share their creations with others, and often use what they see online as a source of inspiration. They thrive in online collective environments, largely created by themselves, using programs like Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, and YouTube to interact with their peers. These digital natives, by way of the internet and evolving technology, will together stay imaginative, innovative, and creative.